Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 418 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about Myles Garrett getting traded to the LA Rams. Myles Garrett once demanded a trade out of Cleveland, only to sign back on a long-term deal. He's long been thought to be the best defensive player in the league, and now he's joining a good team. The two-time Defensive Player of the Year has been traded to the Los Angeles Rams. Garrett is coming off of a season where he broke the NFL single-season sack record with 23, and his 125.5 sacks is tied for 28th all-time in NFL history. This on paper makes the Rams the best team in football once again, and they haven't had a great defensive player like this since Aaron Donald retired. As fans of sports, this is something you always want to see. You want to see great players on good teams because sometimes it feels like individual talents get overlooked when their teams are bad, and the Browns, for the majority of his career, have been a mess. It's a different sport, but take Shohei Ohtani, for example. He was considered great on the Angels, but now that he's on the Dodgers, a winning franchise, people talk about him all the time, and he's a regular in the playoffs. Obviously, we all care about the regular season stats when talking about great players, but postseason success is remembered above all else. Given the age of the talent on their roster, Matthew Stafford, Davante Adams, now Myles Garrett, the Rams should definitely be in win now mode. That's why it was kind of weird that they drafted a quarterback with their first pick in the first round. I mean, I understand doing it. Matthew Stafford is getting up there, and you need to think about the future, but this move definitely sets them back on track to being a team that I am keeping an eye on, a team that I think should be viewed as a Super Bowl favorite. They gave Matthew Stafford a contract extension. He's going to end his career as the starting quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams, and I think he's the interesting thing to talk about in all of this. Yes, Myles Garrett going to the team is a big deal, but Matthew Stafford getting a chance to win a second Super Bowl is an even bigger one, because I believe if Matthew Stafford gets that second Super Bowl title, he begins to enter the conversation of the all-time great quarterbacks. Like, it is possible that Matthew Stafford with a second Super Bowl could make the top 10 list of the 10 best quarterbacks of all time. The fact that he just won an MVP so late in his career is already uber impressive, but imagine him winning one more Super Bowl than the likes of Aaron Rodgers. In the eyes of some, that would put Matthew Stafford ahead of Rodgers. I know some people don't like it when the conversation around quarterbacks is that black and white, when it becomes all about Super Bowl titles, because then the conversation lacks nuance. But I'm telling you, Matthew Stafford has played better at this age than what Aaron Rodgers was like at 38 years old. I mean, Matthew Stafford is still one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he just won an MVP. But for me to view him better than Aaron Rodgers, he does need to get that second Super Bowl title. We should also talk about what another Super Bowl would mean for Sean McVay. I mean, for some, he has been the best head coach in the NFL since he became head coach of the Rams. He's won a Super Bowl, been to another, but still to be viewed as the best in the league, I think he needs to win a second Super Bowl. This is something I want to get into. One of the biggest reasons why the Rams have won the battle for LA over the Chargers is not because they are a more consistent franchise, but because they go after star power. They brought in Matthew Stafford. They have guys like Davante Adams. Now they have Myles Garrett. That is a team full of stars. Pua Nakua is a star player. Now, he has become a star on the Rams, but the Rams have star power. I mean, the Chargers have one guy that everybody knows, and that's Justin Herbert. Yes, winning is above everything, but I think star power matters in LA, and that's why this trade is significant for the Rams, because it's Myles Garrett. It is about the big name, and it should be about the big name. And that's what a team from LA should be about. It should be about making moves that make sense football-wise, but also making splashy moves that gets us all to talk about them. That is why we are talking about the LA Rams, and we are not talking about the Chargers, because the Chargers did not make a trade for Myles Garrett. The Rams did. That is the difference here. You could even look back at the career of Jared Goff and say maybe at some point Jared Goff was going to win a Super Bowl with the Rams. But you know who the bigger star is? Matthew Stafford. That is the type of move the Rams should make over and over and over again. Jared Goff has been really good with Detroit, but Matthew Stafford has been the quarterback and the star quarterback the franchise has needed. The NFL is such a popular sport that most teams do not need star power. The Rams are not one of those teams. If you want to be a relevant team in Los Angeles, you need star power. That is why the team has made trades that don't care about their draft picks. They've made the moves to get the Matthew Staffords of the world, the Davante Adams of the world, and now the Myles Garretts of the world. Winning the offseason doesn't get you much in the NFL. It doesn't guarantee you a trip to the Super Bowl, but it gets you in the conversation. People are talking about the Rams. They're already talking about the fact, for the first time ever, the reigning MVP and the reigning Defensive Player of the Year are going to be on the same team the very next season. I don't want to offend fans of the Cleveland Browns, but I really do view this trade as all about the LA Rams. The Browns are a mess. They have 100 people playing the quarterback position, and they can't choose one. They've always had a solid enough defense to win more games than they did. I am thankful that Myles Garrett is out of that situation, because he deserves to be in a spot like the Rams on a team that wants to win a Super Bowl right now. And what's so crucial about the trade is I think the NFL is for the taking. I mean, there's not one dominant team. I mean, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, but they just lost the Super Bowl MVP. The Chiefs, you don't know what they're going to be. Yes, I still believe in Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to be coming off of an injury. The Patriots are in a weird spot with the Mike Vrabel scandal. The Rams are entering the season as the it team. It doesn't mean they're going to be the ones who walk away with the Lombardi trophy, but you have to like their chances. I also really love the shocking element of this trade that nobody saw it coming. I don't like it when we all know a trade is going to happen when a star wants out. That's why the Patriots trading for A.J. Brown didn't really move the needle, because we all knew that A.J. Brown wanted out of Philadelphia. Yes, he's a very good wide receiver, but that trade was not that exciting. I mean, this came out of nowhere. No one even thought that Myles Garrett was on the market. And it's where he ended up that matters most. I mean, if he were traded to the Jets, I probably wouldn't care about this trade and be talking about it on a podcast. But due to the fact that he ended up on the Los Angeles Rams, the team with the reigning MVP, the team with arguably the best head coach in all of football, that is why this trade is currently the talk of the sports world. I personally was starting to get to a point with the Rams where I was viewing them as a missed opportunity. I think they should have won another Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, and now they've given themselves another opportunity. I mean, Stafford had an MVP season, but then they lost in the playoffs, and then they drafted a quarterback in the first round, and I was like, Is this team in win now mode? But clearly they are, making a move like this. And look, maybe they didn't expect Matthew Stafford to be playing out of his mind at this point in his career, but they are taking advantage of the moment and they are going all in and they are going, you need Myles Garrett to help us win a Super Bowl? We're going to give you that. They are giving Matthew Stafford the necessary tools to win another Super Bowl. That is how most NFL franchises should deal with a situation like this one, where a 38-year-old quarterback is coming off of an MVP season. And it's worth noting, before making this trade, they made another trade for shutdown corner Trent McDuffie. I mean, this team has vastly improved their defense. We all know the offense of names. We know Stafford, we know Adams, we know Nakua, we know that the Rams are going to put up points, but now they have the ability to shut down opponents as well. The Rams are acting like the way that you want your team to act like. They are making the moves necessary to win a Super Bowl. Now, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen. It might not happen, but these moves are still worth it. Still going for it is the point here, because the Rams are in a very particular moment where right now they have the best quarterback in football. That's right. Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback right now. He won the MVP. He deserved it. I would put him ahead of the Josh Allens of the moment, Lamar Jacksons of the moment. Matthew Stafford is the guy right now. And when you have the best quarterback, you have the best opportunity to win a Lombardi trophy. And there were talks about the Rams possibly being in on A.J. Brown. That's not a big enough move, but getting Myles Garrett is the seismic move that makes everyone view you as the favorite to win a Super Bowl title. When I first started to watch football, the Rams were a bit of a laughing stock. I mean, they were not the franchise they are today. They had Sam Bradford. They didn't have star power. They were still in St. Louis, but they have become the team of LA because of the star power and because the moves have paid off. Getting Matthew Stafford did lead to a Super Bowl title. Hiring Sean McVay did lead to a Super Bowl title. And I think, I'm going to guess, that getting Myles Garrett is going to lead to a Super Bowl title in the next year or two. Because let's face it, there is a window here. You're not going to have Matthew Stafford playing at this elite level for forever, and you need to take advantage of that fact. And that's what the Rams are doing by making this trade for Myles Garrett. They are self-aware in that Matthew Stafford is the key to winning their Super Bowl, and Myles Garrett may be the missing piece. What I love about these kinds of trades is you're already getting an all-time great. He's already put up the stats. Garrett has the all-time sack record in a season. He's going to the Hall of Fame. The only thing motivating him now is a Super Bowl title, and that must motivate the teammates around him as well to get him a Super Bowl title. And because of this trade, people want to talk about the idea of Aaron Donald coming out of retirement to play with Myles Garrett. Yes, that is a great narrative, one that I would like to see. Aaron Donald is one of the most dominant defensive players of my lifetime. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, that would just take this whole thing to another level. That would put a lot of eyeballs on the Rams, making them the it team of football. And that can be both a good thing and a bad thing, because people are talking about them because of how good they are, but there's also a lot of attention on this team. People calling them a super team, which did the Eagles absolutely no favors back in the day when Vince Young labeled them that. For as many people who want to see them succeed, there's just as many, if not more, people who want them to fail because of all of this newfound attention and that they're the greatest football team ever assembled. I mean, that's the truly tricky thing about football, is with this, we're talking about the individuals on the Rams. We're talking about Stafford. We're talking about Nakua. We're talking about Garrett. We're talking about Adams. But this is a team sport, and the Rams need to come together as a team if they're going to win a Super Bowl title. There's a chance that Myles Garrett could get another 23 sacks on the Rams, and they're not a very good football team. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this move is going to pan out, but there's always a chance that it doesn't. And in a sport where their postseason is single elimination, it's always impossible to predict who's going to win it all. So yes, right now we can celebrate the Rams. We can call them the team of the moment. They have the reigning MVP. They have the reigning defensive player of the year. But how much does all of that really matter? I think it matters because of the talent of those individual players, but I still need to see them produce on the football field. Having said that, this is the type of move the Rams need to make, because you take on that pressure, you make this move that gets you all of this attention so that you can win the big game and you can have the most talent on the field. I, like most people, was very quick to make fun of Myles Garrett after he backtracked out of wanting out of Cleveland and then signed a mega deal, because I was like, this was only about you getting paid. I'm glad that he's in an opportunity to win football games. I mean, he's too good of a talent to at least not make a Super Bowl appearance in his career. I still find it very telling that in order for a guy like Myles Garrett to find success, team success in the sport of football, he still needs to go to a team that has an elite quarterback. I mean, that's why the Myles Garrett tenure in Cleveland wasn't successful, because they never found that franchise quarterback. Now, maybe you could argue they didn't give Baker Mayfield enough of an opportunity. My point is that is really something that bothers me about football sometimes, is no matter how good the other players on the football field are, it's still all about the quarterback. It's about the fact that the Rams have Matthew Stafford. That is what makes this an enticing opportunity for Myles Garrett. I mean, he can have 23 sacks in a single season, and the Browns can still be one of the worst teams in the league. That is insane. I don't know if I'm rooting for the LA Rams. I'm a fan of the Patriots, but I admire the move that they are making, because they are taking advantage of the fact that Matthew Stafford is playing out of his mind. I mean, my team once had an aging Tom Brady, and I believed, and many people agree with me, that that team did not do enough to take advantage of the fact that they had Brady at the twilight of his career, playing out of his mind. They didn't make enough moves like the one the Rams are making with Myles Garrett. The last few off seasons, they've done this dance about whether or not Matthew Stafford was coming back. You don't need to do that often if Matthew Stafford is still playing like one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. And this move is a realization that you still have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. So go out and get Myles Garrett. Don't think about the future. Think about the here and now, because you have as good of an opportunity as any team in the NFL currently does of winning the Super Bowl next season, because of this individual talents of Matthew Stafford, Pua Nakua, Myles Garrett, Devontae Adams, Trent McDuffie, and I'm willing to bet that all of that individual talent is going to come together and make a great team. I might be wrong. Stranger things have happened in the NFL, but I believe in this Rams team. And if they find that success, we can have that larger conversation about what it means to their overall legacies, what a second Super Bowl would mean for Matthew Stafford, what a second Super Bowl would mean for Sean McVay, what winning a Super Bowl would mean for Myles Garrett and Devontae Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams is a Hall of Fame wide receiver. The only thing missing from his resume as well is a Super Bowl title. No team in the NFL should be more motivated than the Rams to win the Super Bowl. That's why they deserve all the credit in the world for making this trade. It makes absolute sense for them to acquire Myles Garrett. In the past, sometimes it feels like the NFL offseason can be boring because you don't see a lot of moves like this. But this was great, and I want to see more of it in the NFL, especially with players on bad teams. There was no reason for the Cleveland Browns to hang on to Myles Garrett for as long as they did. He should have already been on a team like the LA Rams. He's going to a place that was non-committal to bad quarterbacks, to a team that has the reigning NFL MVP. Nobody should be happier about this move than Myles Garrett. The pressure is going to be on them, but I believe this Rams team is a team that is going to meet the moment. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please rate, review, and subscribe.